Hi, folks. Welcome. We'll give it about 30 seconds, just making sure everybody has a chance to log in. But thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, it seems like we have a critical mass of folks logged in. So again, thank you so much for joining on this first of the summer workshops that your college counseling folks have put on for you this summer. My name is Adam. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm here to represent small liberal arts colleges more generally, but specifically I work at Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota. My colleagues who are also going to be part of this presentation will introduce themselves as we kind of go along. For now, I just want to go through some logistics of what to expect. So we will be recording this presentation. So for those of you joining afterwards, welcome to you as well. We're going to start with about 5 or 6 minutes of just an overview of what the small liberal arts college experience is more generally. There are a lot of similarities between our different institutions and what the experience can be for you. And so we're going to kind of start with some of those things. It's not going to be exhaustive. I'll do my best to cover as much of that as possible, but you'll hear more about that as we go through our specific institutions. We'll then have 5 or 6 minutes of each institution represented here today: Colby College, Haverford College, Macalester College, Middlebury College, and Reed College. So without further ado, I'll just jump in with some of the benefits of a small liberal arts college. So to start, a commonality that we have is that we are focused on the undergraduate experience. So this means we do not have graduate schools and thus graduate students that will be competing with you for your time. The focus is very much on you, the undergraduate. So you get a lot of one-on-one attention from professors and from support staff. The full experience is tailored to you and only to you. And that means a lot of different things as far as what you will be experiencing both in and outside of the classroom. The idea of the liberal arts is actually, sometimes folks think, oh, must be politically based. It's not. It's actually this idea in education that education should be broad-based, that you're going to have access to a lot of different disciplines and a lot of different classes. Even while you might be choosing a specific major, you'll still be able to take classes outside of that major. Each of our institutions do that differently, and we'll talk about that as we go along. But that is one general thing to know about, is that you have the opportunity to explore. A lot of us won't require you to declare a major until well into your time as an undergrad. So there's some flexibility there as well. We are also schools that not only are we undergrad only and focus on this idea of the liberal arts, but we are focused on the residential college experience. So the vast majority of our students will spend the vast majority of their time living and learning on campus. So there's some really amazing pieces that happen there when you and your classmates are actually living in the place where you're doing your learning. You get to develop relationships with each other in a way that you might not otherwise. You get to immerse yourself in the campus experience, not only of being a student, but of getting involved outside of the classroom through student organizations, through other pieces of student life. And a lot of that is made possible because of the focus on that residential college experience. Your professors, and this kind of goes hand in hand with how small a lot of us are. So we, relative to some of the much larger public institutions that are out there, we're much smaller than them, in part because of the lack of graduate students, but just generally because there's some intention there around having a small, tight-knit community. And specifically, I wanted to highlight that your professors they themselves have chosen to be at a place like ours, at a small liberal arts college where there's a focus on teaching in a big way, that the professors want to be there to work one-on-one with you, to share their experiences with you, to really focus in on their teaching, and to think with you not only about your academic journey at a small liberal arts college, but also what it might look like after you graduate, which leads me to my last sort of general thing before we move things along, which is thinking about what happens after college. There's a lot of support that you'll get not only from professors, but also from staff in career development centers and similar offices that will help you figure out internships while you're a student, but then also thinking about jobs after you graduate. Across our different institutions, the numbers vary a little bit, but I think I can safely say that the majority of our students go on to do education beyond the undergraduate experience. It's not at all a requirement, but it is something that the experience that you have as a student there will set you up for success for that kind of experience. A stat that I love is, and now that I said a stat, I'm forgetting the exact number, but small liberal arts college graduates are disproportionately highly represented at graduate schools. And that is because graduate schools are looking for students that come from a small liberal arts college, that have the skills of critical thinking and others that you'll develop as a student. It's something that often leads to success in graduate school, not only for being accepted, but then once you're there. My colleagues who are joining us will have at least 10 more things that I missed that they can add on. But at this point, in the interest of time, I will move things on to Liam from Colby College.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Adam. I will just share my screen here. Oh, Adam, could you actually give me screen sharing permissions?
Sure. Sorry, 1 second.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
All right, go ahead. My bad.
Perfect. Oh, absolutely no worries at all. Perfect. Awesome. So, hi, everybody. My name is Liam Wallace. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm an associate director of admissions at Colby College. So like my peers here today, Colby is a small liberal arts college. We have about 2,000 total students, and we are located in Waterville, Maine, which is a small city right in the middle of the state. Colby offers 56 majors and 35 minors. Also the option to design your own major. So it's really one of the most expansive sets of academic offerings for a school of our size in the country. And our students can take courses ranging in subjects from art history to managerial economics to computational biology. So there's a pretty incredible variety of opportunities out there. One really defining feature of the experience at Colby, and definitely one of our more unique programs, is that we operate on a 4-1-4 academic calendar, where students take 4 courses in the fall, pursue 1 intensive academic or career-related experience during our January term, which we call Jan Plan, and then take 4 courses again in the spring. So Jan Plan provides a ton of opportunity to explore things that students are individually passionate about. You can take a course on campus or off campus. It's a full semester worth of content condensed into 3.5 weeks. Or you can choose to pursue internship or research opportunities, whether that's in your home community, on campus, or really anywhere around the world. Each year in January, students are taking courses on campus that are frequently similar to courses that are offered during the regular semester. But we also offer courses that we're not traditionally able to offer in the spring or fall semesters. And so those could include courses like a meteorology course taught by a Colby alum who is a well-known meteorologist in Boston who actually comes to campus to teach the class. We also offer courses that travel around the world. In recent years, we've had students travel to places like Sri Lanka to study elephant conservation with the Environmental Studies Department. We've had students travel to Uganda to study development with the government department. And we've had students travel to Bermuda to study the geological formation of the island with the geology department. So there's a pretty incredible variety of opportunities available to students during the month of January. Additionally, Colby's academic program is really enriched by a series of labs that are designed to pair together classroom learning with a lot of the world's most pressing and complex challenges. A great example of this is Colby's Buck Lab for Environment and Climate Change, which provides funding for students to pursue internship and research opportunities on topics including climate change and sustainability, as well as the Lindy Packman Lab for Biosciences Innovation, which has created a pipeline for students to pursue funded research in biotechnology, bioinformatics, and just general biosciences. Colby also in 2021 launched the Davis Institute for Artificial Intelligence, which is the first cross-disciplinary institute for artificial intelligence at a liberal arts college in the country. It's created thanks to a $30 million gift from the Davis family, and it's created pathways for students and faculty members to research, create, and apply artificial intelligence and machine learning across a really wide variety of fields. We're excited about it because it's not just focused on the technological piece, but it's also focused on really considering the broader implications around artificial intelligence and how it will ultimately impact society moving forward. And so we're excited. We really think this will help to serve as a model for how liberal arts colleges can approach artificial intelligence in the future. Colby also is very focused on experiential learning. And so with that in mind, we want every student to have access to at least one meaningful internship, research, and global experience during their time at the college. And so to help make this possible, we launched a program called Davis Connects in 2017, which guarantees all of our students access to a global experience, regardless of their ability to pay. And this is entirely separate from our 200 plus study abroad offerings that about 70% of our students take advantage of. And it really furthers the inherently global experience that the college is known for. But Davis Connects also completely replaced our Career Center when we launched it as well. And in the process of doing that, we kind of took the traditional Career Center model and flipped it on its head. So a bit different from most college and university career centers, which are primarily focused on juniors and seniors. At Colby, we have every student advisor through Davis Connects during their first year on campus who's there to work with them throughout college to ensure that they're able to find those internship, research, and global experiences that are directly related to their areas of interest during their time at the college. Colby also has a huge focus on the arts. We have one of the best college art museums in the entire country. I definitely recommend checking it out if you're on campus. And it's used by more than 100 classes across the curriculum each year to expand classroom learning, from art history classes going in to view our collection of Picasso sketches to our meteorology gen plan course looking at the ways that weather patterns portrayed in paintings. We also just recently established the Lunder Institute for American Art, thanks to a gift of more than $100 million in American art from the Lunder family, which has really expanded both the museum's educational mission and is also the only research institute focused on American art at a college similar in size to Colby in the country. At the same time, it also brings leading American art scholars to campus to conduct research and also to connect with our community. And we're also building a brand new arts building on campus as well, which will open in 2023 and have new performing arts spaces. We also have a substantial focus on athletics. We opened the Harold Balthon Athletics and Recreation Center in 2020, which has brand new competition spaces for a wide variety of varsity sports. It's a 350,000 square foot, $200 million facility. If you're interested in seeing more, we've got some great videos on the college's YouTube channel that I would definitely recommend checking out to see what we offer there. So shifting gears to the last second to admissions and financial aid through the Colby Commitment, which is our institutional commitment to access, we have really focused on removing barriers for applying for both admission and financial aid in recent years. We accept the Common Application, the Coalition Application, and the QuestBridge application. Additionally, there are no fees to apply. There's also no extra essays or supplements for students to submit. When it comes to standardized testing, Colby is test optional. We were test optional prior to the pandemic, and we will be moving forward. When it comes to testing, we also super score all exams, including the ACT. So if you send us multiple exam score options, we'll choose the ones that put you into the most competitive position as part of our pool. And through the Colby Commitment, we also meet 100% of demonstrated financial need for all admitted students without including loans in our financial aid packages. And we've also created a few financial aid policies in recent years that have been designed to make Colby even more accessible. And so families earning up to $65,000 a year with typical assets will have their parent or guardian contributions set to $0. And families earning up to $150,000 a year will have their parent or with comparable assets to the typical income range. People will have a parent or guardian contribution of no more than $15,000. And so with that, I'm going to hand things off to my colleague from Haverford.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christina. I work at Haverford College, and I'm just going to take a second to share my screen. All right, great. So Haverford College, like everyone else here, is a small private liberal arts college. We are located just outside of Philadelphia, so we're in the northeastern part of the US. And we're a pretty small liberal arts college. Residential life and community are really, really important to us. And so we have about 1,400 undergraduates, and we don't have any graduate students. So undergraduate students are our complete focus, right? We're a really close-knit community. And liberal arts at Haverford, really what that looks like is that students are going to explore a huge breadth of topics, right? So in terms of what that looks like at Haverford, you have to take 2 classes in the sciences, 2 classes in social sciences, and 2 classes in the humanities, essentially. And what students end up actually majoring in really varies. About half of our students end up studying sciences, but you can see our top 10 majors range from everything from English to history to chemistry and psychology and computer science. So we have students who really love to combine a huge different range of depth of topics, along with that breadth of different things that they're going for. And for every student, in terms of the depth, students are going to balance the studying a lot of different fields, exploring a lot of different fields, with going really deep into their major or majors. Every student at Haverford is going to complete a senior thesis in their final year at Haverford. And what that means is you have the opportunity to ask an original question in your field and to do research in your field. So this is a guaranteed and required research project, and you work one-on-one with a faculty mentor throughout your time working on your senior thesis. And we think the senior thesis is really important because every student at Haverford is taking different classes, right? You have a different trajectory from the moment you enter Haverford to the moment you leave than any other student has had or will ever have, because there's so many different options for you to choose from. And so the senior thesis is an opportunity for you to take the initiative and really decide what it is that's most important to you based on your academic trajectory, based on your interests, and to be able to dive fully into that in your final year and make that whatever is most helpful for you. And it also gives you lots of research skills. Liberal arts is all about learning those soft skills, right? Learning how to learn, learning how to think, and having that research project, which is so independent, is a huge part of that at Haverford. The other part that's really important about liberal arts at Haverford is we are part of a consortium. So along with Bryn Mawr College, Swarthmore College, and the University of Pennsylvania, Haverford students have access to the resources of a huge number of all of these different schools. So what that means is you have access to over 2,000 classes. You are encouraged to take a wide range of classes across many different disciplines. And if there are specific niche fields that you're interested in, or a specific area within a specific field, the resources of our combined campuses means that it's much more likely that you will be able to explore those different things, to find a professor whose interests exactly match yours, or who's doing a research project that you want to collaborate with them on, even if it's a more unusual research topic. And the consortium really encourages that sort of interaction and that exploration across a whole bunch of different fields. The consortium also means that we are able to have some programs that help students to connect what they're learning in the classroom with the world around us. So we have a program that's called TriCo in Philly, and that's students from Bryn Mawr, Haverford, and Swarthmore who go into Philadelphia to take classes in Philadelphia about Philadelphia. And so you have your professors teaching you classes. Maybe you're taking a class that's about more like city planning, or you're taking a class that's about sociology of hip hop. And all of it is based in the classroom about the real world around you. And so it helps students to think about, how do I connect these skills I'm learning in the classroom? How do I connect these ideas I'm learning in the classroom to the world that we live in and the world that's impacting Haverford, because this is the space that Haverford exists in. So that's a really important example of one of the types of programs that we have that does that. Another example of the liberal arts connecting with Haverford, with the real world, is our academic centers. So we have a Center for Arts and Humanities, we have a Sciences Center, and we have the Center for Global Citizenship. And each of these centers will bring speakers to campus, they'll have events on campus, and they'll also sponsor internship opportunities, fellowship opportunities, research opportunities. And every single one of these opportunities is meant for students to think about, in the interdisciplinary things I'm learning, the interdisciplinary classes I'm taking, how do I apply those to issues in the real world? For example, you can, if you're studying maybe immigration in your sociology classes or your history classes, you can do an internship with an organization in Mexico City over the summer that works with refugees and migrants in Mexico City, sponsored by the Center for Peace and Global Citizenship. So this is an opportunity for students to think about, of all of these things that we are interacting with in the classroom, that we're learning throughout the liberal arts experience, how do we connect those things to the world around us? And then another really important thing about Haverford is that we are a Quaker institution. So we were founded by Quakers. We're not religious anymore, but we still really value student voice and student agency. And that means that in the reality of the community at Haverford, students have a significant role in determining both their own experiences and the experience of the Haverford community overall. So in all of the committees at Haverford where staff and faculty are making decisions about how the community is going to be run, there are students in all of those committees helping to make that decision and thinking about what impact they want to make on the community while they're at Haverford, but also after they leave Haverford. And so that teaches, in a very real way, more leadership skills, right? You're thinking about ethical leadership and how you and the decisions you're making in that one room as you're sitting next to the president of the college and your professors talking about what's the strategic plan for Haverford over the next 4 years, you're also thinking about how does that impact the people around me? How does that impact my peers? How will that impact the students that come after me after I graduate, after I leave Haverford? And so that's an integral part to the Haverford education as well, even though it's not a classroom experience, it's not an educational experience, but it helps students to think about all of these skills that you learn while you're at Haverford. I could talk much more about Haverford, and I'm always happy to answer questions, but I'm going to leave it there and turn it over to my colleague.
Thanks, Christina. I'm also going to share my screen again to talk about Macalester. So for the purposes of this discussion, I'm going to highlight how Mac is different from a lot of small liberal arts colleges. The two main things that I'll focus on is our location, as well as our mission and the way that our community lives that out on a daily basis. So you see in front of you our physical location. There is campus. We are one of the very few selective small liberal arts colleges that's right in the middle of an urban area. So we're in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, kind of tucked between St. Paul and Minneapolis. We're actually in St. Paul itself. So that means a lot of different things for our students and their experience on campus. So professors love to connect with their teaching to what is happening in the Twin Cities. I know that there are faculty who are at Macalester in large part because they know of those opportunities to make those real life connections, making the classroom very hands-on and very project-based in that way. Internships are a big thing for us, and I think that's true across a lot of small liberal arts colleges. What's special for us is 70% of our students are able to do, or 70% of our students do at least one internship by the time that they graduate from Mac. So to give you a little bit more of an idea of kind of where we're situated, this map gives you a sense of where Macalester is relative to the two downtowns, but then also those markers show different locations throughout the Twin Cities where students have done internships. So it ranges from everything from the 15 Fortune 500 companies that are headquartered in the Twin Cities to much smaller nonprofit organizations and everything in between. Beyond some of the more formal ways in which we are connecting to the Twin Cities, it's a fun place to be. It's a rich, diverse community on campus and a rich, diverse community off campus as well. So access to restaurants, to the arts, especially the theater scene is a big thing in the Twin Cities. Pro sports, if that's something that you're into, all of that is available there to you as it would be in any other major metropolitan city. It's sort of the best of both worlds with the small, tight-knit community on campus and the larger city around it. Our mission then is focused around four main pillars or core values. They are academic excellence, multiculturalism, internationalism, and service to society. The service piece, very quickly, kind of a chicken and the egg thing. Over 90% of our students report doing some sort of volunteer work. That's possible because of where we are. So if it were not for our location, there's no way so many students would be able to participate. And it is truly core to who we are in a lot of different ways. Internationalism is probably the thing that we're most well known for. So we have 99 different countries represented in our student body. 23% are citizens of another country. So it's a very international campus community itself. The flip side of that is that study abroad is very popular, as you've been hearing, not unique to us as a small liberal arts college, but the way that we try and be a little bit different is we have just under 100 different programs for you to choose from. Every major has at least one program that is a good fit. We want anybody who wants to have that experience to have it. Financial aid stays the same for you, whether or not you are on campus or doing a study away experience. Multiculturalism then is our commitment to diversity in every sense of that word. But beyond that, thinking about what does equity and justice look like in education at a place that in the late 1800s wasn't necessarily thinking about being inclusive of all people from all different backgrounds. We have students from all 50 states, as well as DC, Puerto Rico, and other US territories. I mentioned the international diversity. We are currently at of our US students, 37% identify as US students of color. But again, those are the numbers. We're thinking further about what does it mean to be an inclusive place. A lot of that work is done through our Department of Multicultural Life and different affinity spaces there, as well as through student organizations that are entirely student run. Academic excellence, then, I won't spend too much time on it here, but we have general distribution requirements. These are categories of classes that you need to take by the time you graduate. It's very intentionally mission focused. You'll see that through our internationalism and our US identities and differences requirement. We also have something called a concentration, which is basically an interdisciplinary major. It offers the opportunity to focus on a global issue and take classes in a lot of different areas. So an example of that that's especially salient right now is community and global health. So in that concentration, you would take classes in biology and chemistry, as well as sociology or economics, political science. It's sort of this acknowledgement that these large, intractable global issues won't be solved by any one perspective, but that it's going to take multiple experts, multiple perspectives to really take a closer look at those things. Very quickly, just an overview of student life. Because of where we are, we actually require students to live on campus for the first 2 years. After that, it's about a 50-50 split of juniors and seniors who live on or off campus. Our students are heavily involved in a lot of different things. We are a Division III varsity school. About a quarter of our students are varsity athletes themselves. So that's a big part of what's going on as well. They aren't just varsity athletes, so they're also involved in a lot of different parts of campus as well. Here are a list of our decision rounds. We are a school that's committed to meeting full demonstrated financial need while also offering merit aid. That is the time when it says my time is up, so I'm going to stop and pass it on to my friend and colleague, Michelle from Middlebury.
Thanks, Adam. All right. I got to do my share screen thing here. Does that look good? Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to participate today. I think you're going to start hearing some familiar themes as I speak about Middlebury. So I'm Michelle Nelson. I use she, her pronouns. I serve as Associate Director of Admission at Middlebury College in Vermont. I am the admissions counselor for the DMV region, which is why you're hearing from me today. My partner at Middlebury is a faculty member, and I also have a child who is enrolled at one of my fellow presenters' colleges today. So my family is very steeped in liberal arts colleges, big believer for sure. And so to start by introducing you to Middlebury, I'm going to share our college's mission statement through a commitment. You'll hear some familiar words here. Through a commitment to immersive learning, we prepare students to lead engaged, consequential, and creative lives, contribute to their communities, and address the world's most challenging problems. Some quick facts to get us started. We are an undergraduate-focused, fully residential liberal arts and sciences college. At Middlebury, we enroll approximately 2,500 students, hailing from all 50 US states, DC, Puerto Rico, and almost 80 countries around the world. More than half of our students pursue multi or interdisciplinary majors combined from our 49 different majors and programs, really taking advantage of the depth and breadth and flexibility of a liberal arts learning environment. Admissions to Middlebury is need blind for US citizens, permanent residents, DACA, and undocumented students, and we meet 100% of demonstrated need for all admitted students. And so now, much like my colleagues have tried to do, I'd like to highlight those features that I think are distinguishing and are really kind of important ingredients to the Middlebury experience. And first and foremost, our place, our setting, a very stark contrast to what you just heard about Macalester. Our setting in Vermont's Champlain Valley offers an experience deeply rooted in place and community. If we were situated in any other place, we could not call ourselves Middlebury College. We have a strong connection to the local environment and community. It's essential to our identity, and allows students to take advantage of opportunities related to that, recreationally, connecting learning in the classroom to outside of the classroom opportunities in our place, and community engagement opportunities as well. As a nice counterpoint to our Vermont location, Middlebury is also a very globally connected institution. In addition to our main campus in Vermont, we certainly pitch ourselves as being a rural Vermont college. We are also a network of schools abroad, immersive language schools in the summertime, and then the Middlebury Institute of International Studies, which is a graduate program located in Monterey, California. We help you to build global connections and cross-cultural understanding skills in many different ways. From being an internationally diverse student body, from having an internationally and globally focused curriculum. But I would like to highlight Middlebury's network of schools abroad, which allows you to have Middlebury quality support via on-site staff while having concurrently total immersion in language and culture. The Middlebury Language Pledge is trademarked. Students may not speak English who are studying under the Middlebury Language Pledge, and have authentic learning experiences at a local university, which in many cases is very different from the experience you have on our campus in Vermont. And that creates some guided independence to engage in community internships and kind of a specific residential experience to the place in which you're located. As a quick aside, I'll just say these are not the only study abroad opportunities available to Middlebury students, but because it's pretty distinctive, wanted to highlight that aspect here. Middlebury is, like many others, a college with a very green mindset. But I would like to highlight the fact that we are a pioneer in environmental studies. Our academic program is the oldest in the country. It's also one of our most popular majors. It's very interdisciplinary. Middlebury has a strong history of sustainable practices, which include, but are not limited to, achieving carbon neutral status. In 2016, we recently embarked on some new sustainability goals, ambitiously hoping to use 100% renewable energy by the year 2028. Another highlight of the Middlebury student experience is what we call J-term, short for January term. We also have a 414 academic calendar here at Middlebury. During the 4-week J-term, which is like a condensed academic semester, students pursue one in-depth academic experience. They take a class, they may pursue an internship experience or an independent study. It makes the winter months something that our students look forward to. And now for my favorite thing about Middlebury, perhaps most distinctive, we have one of the largest and most well-established mid-year enrollment programs in the country. Our FEBs, as you see sort of depicted in this image, spend what is a gap semester before they arrive at Middlebury, pursuing an interest, holding a job, traveling, visiting with family, engaging in community engagement or service. Any number of things. And after completing their 4 years, FEBs take part in a unique ski down tradition at the Middlebury College Snow Bowl, which is our very own ski area, to celebrate their graduation. FEBs proudly wear the .5 at the end of their graduation year and join a more than 50-year-long tradition of adventurous students who aren't afraid to do things a little bit differently. I know my time is up, and I know others have highlighted this. I think one of kind of the under maybe appreciated and best aspects of an undergraduate focused college experience is all of the enhancements and resources that exist for students beyond the classroom. Things like career support. These are some of the other centers at Middlebury that provide opportunities for engagement and inclusion, community building, supporting student success. Thanks again. I will turn it over to my colleague, my last colleague in the alphabet here at Reed. I just have to stop sharing. Give me a second. I'm trying to find my, here we go. Sorry about that.
No, thank you, Michelle. Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Wee. I'm the interim director of admission at Reed College. Speaking from personal experience, I've actually visited all of the campuses of the colleges who just presented, and I can say they are extremely lovely and beautiful. So if you ever get a chance to visit our campuses, whether in Maine or Pennsylvania and Vermont or in Portland, Oregon is where I'm located, please do so. I believe most of our visits are available. So I'm going to share my screen and kick us off. And please let me know if you all can see this just fine. So Reed College is a small liberal arts college, just like everyone here is. We let me make it into a presentation because it is not in a presentation mode right now. Oh, not that. My apology. It is not quite what I'm trying to do. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Fantastic. So we are located in Portland, Oregon itself. We're about maybe 25 minutes from the downtown areas. We're in the suburban part of the city of Portland. So again, you have this nice balance of being, in a more suburban areas, but you're so close to the cities. Reed has students from all over the countries, all 50 states, 49 different countries. Our students of color is about 35% right now. International is about 15%. And just like everyone else, we are also a residential college. Most of our students live on campus. Housings are guaranteed for the first 2 years. The last 2 years, most students live off campus within about 1 mile of where they are located. Reed is really known for academics. This is the place where students truly love learning for its own sakes. All of the classes taught are seminar style classes. You have to, on average, about 15 students. So the size is truly important for us, but also we heavily de-emphasize gradings as well. At Reed, we do have GPA, 4.0 scales, all that fun stuff. But unless you really want to find out your grades, your professors don't show you your grades. Instead, they're going to give you a paper written about your assignment, about how you do and how you perform in your classes. And then afterward, you meet with them for half an hour. Every time you turn in an assignment, you meet with your professors afterward to talk about your work and your research. And research is one of the core experiences at Reed College. Every student must do a senior thesis in order to graduate, no matter what you pursued. And you get a lot of research fundings for it. We paid out almost, I think, $10 million last year into research grants for professors and for faculties and for undergraduate students as well. 96% of the students who apply for research grant get them. One cool fact about Reed, we have our own nuclear reactors on campus. It is operated entirely by undergraduate students. In fact, about a quarter of all nuclear operators are non-science majors.
Hey, Hui.
Oh, yes.
We can't see your slides.
I am so sorry. This is
That's okay. Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Let me see why it's going on. You know what? Let me just do this. I'm just going to scroll down. Can you guys see this right now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, I'm just going to go back a little bit, just do some quick slide. As you can see, this is where we're located. A little bit about the cities. And here's the pictures of the nuclear reactors as well. Like I said earlier, all of our students do research. Nuclear reactors is probably one of the favorite jobs on campus. About 25 operators reactors are working at any given time. Performing arts is also a very big deal. Even though we're not a conservatory, 90% of our students are involved in dance, music, theaters in some capacity. It is one of the most popular pastime at Reed. We invested heavily into the latest performing art buildings. It has, many full-scale black box theaters, a full suite of music and creators. The other thing about Reed is that students are very outdoorsy. We have a ski cabin about maybe miles, maybe an hour from campus that you can go to pretty much every single weekend. There's a bus that takes you there. Students are very active on the outdoors. Every single week, there's about 3 different trips, whether it's hiking, kayaking, or mountaineering. It is an integral part of your Reed experience. We have about a backpack co-op who basically provides all the gears and equipments for you, so you don't have to worry about not having what you need to pursue the outdoors in Portland and in the Pacific Northwest. One thing that REIT does not have is we don't have division of sport, D1, D2, or D3. It's because of our belief that we don't want to have any exclusions on our campus, so we also don't have sororities or fraternities either. So instead of having March Madness every spring, we have a Bake Off, the Great British Bake Off competitions, where we have people compete in a Sweet 16 style bracket where you bake really sweet treats to each other's. Final things I want to say before we end this is that REIT produces a lot of students who go on to graduate school at an incredibly high level. In fact, no matter what field of study you might pursue, REIT is usually in the top 5 in terms of producing students getting their PhDs in that area, especially in grad school as well. I think with that, my time is probably up, and I'm looking forward to answering questions with all of my colleagues.
Great, thanks everyone. And we would love to answer questions, and some of you have been throwing them in the chat at this point. Maybe one, just for the sake of acknowledging that I didn't cover everything at the beginning. There was a question about just wanting to hear more about why small liberal arts colleges are different from other colleges. So just wondering if a few folks want to jump in and talk about that.
Sure, maybe we can each take a turn and sort of do one bullet or 1 or 2 bullets. Hard to keep admissions folks to one bullet. One of the things that comes to mind for me is a statistic. There are 3,000-4,000 institutions of higher education in the United States. And of all students pursuing higher education, only about 3 to 5% attend liberal arts, sort of undergraduate focused residential liberal arts and sciences colleges. So it is a very kind of specialized type of experience. I think in addition to, many of the things that Adam said about, size and the focus on the undergrad experience, differences between liberal arts colleges. And the question was posed in regular colleges. I might talk about, a university, in addition to being larger, maybe they're also educating graduate students. You might have to apply to a particular program and sort of know what you want to study ahead of time. I think that's, in addition to the breadth and flexibility that liberal arts and sciences colleges offer, we also allow time for you to explore your interests before you have to decide what to choose as your major. And even then, that's not going to dictate sort of what you do for the rest of your life. It's going to give you those soft skills and those skills that can be applied to lots of different professions, as we've kind of touched on here and there. So I'll stop there and let others chime in.
I think one other really defining feature of liberal arts colleges that I think all of us really touched on in our presentations is that there's opportunities at liberal arts colleges that are very unique to have a really personalized educational experience, to really get to explore the things that you're the most passionate about in the way that you would like to explore them. Also with faculty members who are there to work with you. Adam mentioned it at the very start, liberal arts colleges employ faculty members who are really excited to work at small liberal arts colleges, which are extremely focused on teaching, right? Professors are doing cutting edge research at all of our schools, but they're also really enthusiastic about the opportunity to work with the students who are in their classes. They're excited that class sizes are small so they can actually get to know their students and build those connections. And so if you value really knowing your teachers well and them knowing you well, and having an educational experience really based on them personally challenging you and helping you become the best version of yourself academically, but also intellectually, I think liberal arts colleges are a really fantastic fit for students who kind of are in that mindset.
And sort of along those lines, the liberal arts colleges tend to focus on learning how to learn. Like, yes, you have a major, you are focusing on specific things, but one of the major things that you're learning is how you can learn about different things. And so liberal arts colleges maybe don't have all of the pre-professional tracks like nursing that a larger university might have, because we're focused more on how do you learn a whole bunch of different fields as you're going throughout your time in undergraduate. And then that is part of why we were talking earlier about liberal arts graduates going on to education after liberal arts colleges. And that's because this sets you up really well for that.
Yeah, and the questions that are coming in are great because I think it reveals a little bit of like the pieces maybe we're not highlighting. So I think, yes, a liberal arts college can be an amazing place for somebody who isn't sure what they want to major in. And it can be an amazing place for somebody who knows that they definitely want to be a biology major or a political science major, whatever major it is, but also has interests in other areas and sort of is looking to be able to immediately focus in on that one thing while also taking classes in a lot of different areas. I think it's worth highlighting that the humanities are a big thing at each of our schools, and STEM majors are really strong as well. So I think some of us had up the most popular majors at our institutions. I think each of us would have some combination of biology or chemistry up in there as well. So I can speak directly for Macalester. Biology is our most popular major. There was also a question about like, why is it so hard to get into a small liberal arts college? And it's a question that I will say I think we grapple with as well. Like I think one of the worst parts of the work that we do is that we have, we are at institutions that are really strong academically, and so we're looking for students who are ready to handle a rigorous academic environment. And so we have to admit fewer students than we're able to, than the ones that we're actually are not able to offer admission to. It is part of the thing, like increasingly schools like us are becoming more and more appealing, in part because of some of the things that we talked about. But we just wanted to acknowledge that question as well. Earlier on, I saw a question. I don't know if somebody wants to take this and talk maybe a little bit more about application review, but there was a question about like, what's a minimum GPA you need to have in order to apply or to get into a small liberal arts college?
I'll get us started on that one. And I think this is just a great segue to what Adam was saying, is that, many of us are very selective, but also we practice admissions in a very holistic manner. And a lot of people say holistic, what the heck does that mean? So we don't have like an X and Y chart where like, this is your GPA, this is your SAT score, SAT score, and then like if you fall in a certain range, you get admitted, right? Some bigger universities might have to use that kind of format. For us, every time you apply, for the most part, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you usually get at least 2 readers on your application when you apply to one of our schools. 2 different pairs of eyes, 2 different perspectives, understanding your stories, your journey, how did you get here, right? And many of us take into great care to read your essays, your recommendations, to get to really know you. So it's not just like, do you have the GPA or do you have the test score? It's just like, are you a good fit for us and are we a good fit for you? And for us, sometimes we will admit students who, if you look at their just generic academic profile, might not seem very strong on paper, but when you dig deeper, they have so many levels of complexities and so many layers of strength and character that makes them meaningful. So it's just not a number game, right? For us, it's really, we're trying to find the right student and the right fit, not just like, do they have the right numbers?
Agreed. It's not just about meeting a minimum or certain requirement. It's about that, and not that, but like it is about your academics, but it's also, what else will you bring to our community? What else will you gain from our community? And how will you be part of that community that is made up of lots of different parts and pieces of the puzzle? I want to step back for a second to the, why is it so hard to get into liberal arts colleges? We are only 5 liberal arts colleges on the screen, and we are all pretty selective. So we aren't able to admit a majority of the students who apply to our institutions. While a small number of students pursue higher education at liberal arts colleges, there are hundreds of them out there around the country. So I would urge you to be open-minded in looking at colleges you've never heard of. that might not sort of be on the screen and have a particular ranking in US News and World Report, because they will have the same qualities that we have and the same sort of wonderful pieces of the experience, but are able to admit more students that apply to their institutions. And so I think you can find a range of liberal arts colleges around selectivity that have these qualities that, you know, if it's something you're looking for and feels like it's a good fit for you.
Great. I was about to type out an answer to this, but it might be worth talking about. There's a question about, you know, we're in Montgomery County, talking to kids who are at schools that might be larger than our respective institutions. And so maybe a couple of us can speak a little bit to what does that look like to go to a college that's on the smaller side of things as far as the spectrum goes, and how to kind of take that into account when thinking about where you're applying.
Yeah, I can definitely jump in and talk about this one a bit. I will say from my own personal experience, I also went to a small liberal arts college, not one that's represented here. So my higher ed experience is largely based around smaller schools. But one thing that I'll definitely say about it, when it comes to the size of a liberal arts colleges, I think that our size is really one of our greatest strengths in terms of what we're able to offer to people. You're able to be part of a community where people know each other. However, you're not going to know everybody at the college. You're constantly meeting new people. I had a similar experience when I was at a school that was about 2,000 people. I hear this all the time from students at Colby, is that you meet new people constantly. Every year, we have a quarter of our students graduate, and a new quarter of the student body rolls in. It's great opportunities to meet new people. But at the same time, you're at a school that's small enough where your professors can actually know you personally, where you can really get a personalized educational experience, and where you can access opportunities that are pretty unique, because a lot of us have resources that are disproportionately strong for schools our size and the amount of students that we have when it comes to academic facilities, research opportunities that are available to students. And so with that in mind, I think our size is really one of our strengths. Obviously, there's a huge variety of sizes of colleges out there. I mean, they range from a couple hundred people to 50,000 plus undergrads. And so we're definitely on the smaller end, but we're intentionally small because we want to offer a really tailored educational experience that allows for a close-knit community. But at the same time, you'll still meet people from all over the world constantly on campus. You won't know everybody. It is impossible.
I'll just add to that, that if the size is something that you're curious about, like what is that experience like? Every one of our schools has students that come from larger high schools and smaller high schools, and we can always connect you with students who are currently at our schools. And so that's a great way to learn more about what does that look like for someone's actual experience in their day-to-day life. Ask questions, talk to people. If you can visit campus, and whether that's one of our schools or any other school near you, because that will give you a sense of what actually it feels like to be on the campus of a smaller school.
Yeah, and that the size transitions into a really great question around more generally, I'm going to turn it into a more general question around support in the classroom. Each of our institutions are excited about enrolling students who learn in lots of different ways, and related to that might need different kinds of support in the classroom. That's one of the very specific benefits of being a smaller place, is that you won't fall through the cracks, that there will be support for you coming from a lot of different people to make sure that you are set up for success. So yes, if there are things that you have found to be helpful in your academic journey up to this point, those are absolutely things that we can continue to do for you. And again, that's something that I think we pride ourselves on, just being a smaller place and having supports in place. We have about 5 minutes left. A really important question to talk about is like cost. And so I wonder if a couple of folks could touch on that. And then maybe to wrap up, we can each answer a question about like, what can I be doing to prepare to apply to a small liberal arts college, maybe specifically this summer. So I don't know if there's a couple of folks that want to talk about financial aid and tuition and what does need-based aid look like, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll kick us off. First off, if you look at our sticker price, you might be in a bit of a shock for a quick moment, but that's incredibly deceiving. If you start looking at like a few metrics, like how much financial aid do we give out, like how much the average student's debt when students graduate from our colleges, to go on, you find it is incredibly low among all 5 of our colleges. Now, that's not be true for every single one of our colleges, but our colleges, us 5, tend to have a lot of resources that we invest into financial aid. Right. But the first thing you need to do, aside from looking at the cost, is really use our ESC calculators for some of our special school. That might give you a very quick, simple, but like a good range of what might be affordable and what financial aid. Overwhelmingly, we discovered that when families think like, oh my God, I can't afford college, and we asked their income and their thing on the EFC, they learn that they will get really high mid 5 figures grants, no loans, financial aid that will make the college that will be incredibly affordable. The other thing about for us in terms of like side that matters is that we have a small student population, but we have large endowments. That means we have a lot of resources per individual student and invest specifically in their financial needs as well. So right now, best you can do is research our individual colleges, financial aid policies once the deadlines happen, but don't let the price be a deterrent without doing that research first.
I think there was also a related question about how this affects diversity. And so what I'll say is we are all very intentional in wanting to have communities that represent the diversity of the world around us, right? And so financial aid is also our financial aid policies reflect that, right? And so we're trying to think about how we can support students from all sorts of different backgrounds, both economically and other types of backgrounds. And so our financial aid policies are meant to support the communities that we're serving, to support our students and make sure that everyone is able to have the experience that we want them to have at our liberal arts colleges.
Great. And so maybe to close, maybe in the order that we presented, so Liam, I'll put you on the spot to kick us off. A piece of advice for the students joining us thinking about potentially applying to one of our institutions.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that students take advantage of the incredible amount of online resources that are out there. Since the pandemic started, there's been a pretty huge shift online for a lot of us. A lot of us offer virtual information sessions, a lot more virtual resources than we used to for students who might be interested in knowing more about our colleges. But then also, I know this was just mentioned a few minutes ago, but I would definitely recommend checking out different types of financial aid calculators that are out there too. If you're considering applying for financial aid, all of our colleges are incredibly committed to affordability. And so many of us use one or more. And so if you just Google the name of our college and financial aid, you will probably be taken to a website with financial aid information and calculators right there. So definitely recommend doing that too, if that's something you're thinking about.
That was all great advice. I think my biggest piece of advice is we are human beings, right? We're here talking to you. We are not robots. We are not machines. We're human beings and we're here to help. So if you have questions, if there are things that you don't understand, reach out to us. We already gave you our specific contact information, but this is true for any school that you're interested in. There are always people there. And whether that's a phone call that you're going to make, whether you're going to send an email, I really encourage you to do that if that's something that will be helpful to you.
My advice is to visit a campus. And it doesn't have to be like the school where you want to apply or whatever the case may be. You folks live in Montgomery County. There's a lot of really interesting colleges and universities in your area. And I just encourage you to get on campus, do a college tour. It'll prompt some questions for you about like, what is it that I'm thinking about? What is important to me in my search? And I think that can be a really valuable experience if you take advantage of it.
I'm going to make a little bit of a pivot here. In addition to learning more about colleges and financial aid policies and things like that, especially for those of you who are rising seniors this summer, I would also encourage you to have fun, to do the things that you love to do, and sort of you do you. Applying to college is really stressful and it creates a lot of anxiety, but it can also be really fun because it's an opportunity. The parts of it that can be fun because it's an opportunity for you to really think and showcase, who you are and sort of, what really makes you tick. And so I think if you can approach your college search process, but also like how you spend your time this summer with that in mind, you can't game the system and figure out like who we're going to admit and what we're looking for, because we're looking for lots of different things and lots of different kinds of people. So if you do you and you communicate that really well through your application, that represents the life that you lived. Some colleges are going to be really excited about that, and an authentic and thoughtful and compelling application looks lots of different ways. So have some fun this summer, and do the things that you love to do.
I hate going last with this, with like all the good answers are taken. So I would say then, talk with your parents, talk with your friend, understand what a good fit looks like. Like, don't just look at US News and World Report and say, okay, I'm going to apply to the top 25, top 30, or whatever arbitrary ranking might be. Like, why do I want a small college? Why do I want a college in a suburb versus a city versus the middle of nowhere, right? What programs attract me? And to be very intentional about that, because when you do apply to us or other school and you're very deliberate about that, you can come off as very authentic and very genuine in your interests, right? And that makes us want to say yes a lot more, right? So, just be very, very thoughtful in your research, and make sure the school that you apply to is there for the right reason.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us again, for your questions. One last piece of advice: keep attending these. We're so fortunate to have these workshops available to you throughout the summer. And this is the first of many to come. So great resources for you to use. Speaking of which, this has been recorded and will be shared with your school. So if you'd like to rewatch something, whether it's this workshop or one in the future, they will be made available to you. But so with that, again, thank you so much for joining us. I think we've all had a lot of fun with this. Let us know how we can help. We shared our contact information, and to echo Michelle, have fun, enjoy your summer, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, everyone.